Hi, a very good evening, sir. It's been a pleasure to welcome you to the new podcast. I mean, this is a podcast which will talk about personal anecdotes, the mistakes we have done, the life we have led, and then I haven't met you in person. Today is the first time we met, but then we have talked over the phone, and then I have followed you, the kind of things you have done for Manipur and your views on Manipur, why the insurgency problem or the Northeast has been left out. Your understanding of the Northeast is kind of inspiring. So I always wanted to meet you, but then today uh, I would really thank my stars that I could probably get to spend a good amount of time with you. So it'll be unfiltered truth about the Northeast, uh, about people occupying the highest position in the country in the army, and then when we go back to our own stage, we are kind of disconnected with what we swear by, like the flag. I mean, in Imphal, it's like it is controlled by the underground, right? So people who are in the army, people at the level of a general, lieutenant general, even are controlled by people who are are insurgents, and people like us also, we are like conflicted in our hearts. So these are issues that you understand quite well. So I really want to talk to you so many things, but to start with, sir, in your own words, it would be really nice if you can introduce yourself, and then, I mean, you don't need introduction, but for children to know how your life has been like. So can you please tell us about yourself, sir?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Len. Yeah, long life because I've done 39 years in government, but I grew up partly in Delhi, Bangalore, and Chennai. I studied in Bishop Cotton's boys' school. I passed out from there. Then I did my bachelor's in St. Joseph's College in Bangalore, and then
Oh, you're
went to
from
IIT
you did your studies in Bangalore.
Bangalore, and then I did
Right
my
now, I'm sitting in Bangalore, so it's kind of it's a wonderful place, right? I mean, in terms of climate,
yeah.
I
You
think this
remember
is the
Bishop
best place
Cotton
in
School
India,
very
right?
much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
And
wonderful college. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, yeah.
I spent
Please
from
continue, sir.
1960 to that decade, 60s decade. I was in. Um you may not have been born then, but
1960, I wasn't.
yeah.
I
So that was
wasn't.
the time I was in school and college in Bangalore, and then I went to IIT Madras, and then subsequently, I always had an interest in development and you know meeting people and getting things done. So I actually come from a family of bureaucrats in one sense. My father, my grandfather were all bureaucrats. So I wrote the IAS examination and then got into the IAS, and then
You make it sound so easy.
it's hard work, but I mean it's you have to
Yeah,
study hard. It was not so competitive then as it is today, but
I see.
it still requires discipline and hard work to be able to crack the exam. And then I was allotted to the Kerala cadre, and then I worked in Kerala and in Delhi on and off because the IAS has that advantage of you can work in the state and you can also go on central deputation.
You
So I
worked in
worked in
Kerala for I see.
yeah, almost half my career I worked in Kerala, and half the time I
The
worked in
sound.
Delhi in the ministries of defense, surface transport, home, and commerce. And then I became the Union Home Secretary, which was my last posting, and retired in 2011. In the state, of course, I worked in a number of positions, including in Special Secretary dealing with local industries, and Special Officer for Cashew Industry, Secretary Health. I have a great interest in health. And then I worked as Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister of Kerala, Mr. A.K. Antony, who later came and became the Defense Minister of India.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's basically, in one sense, uh, my personal introduction. I met,
IIT way, what was your stream, sir?
mine was IIT
IIT
subject
Madras.
was yeah, IIT Madras is chemistry. I still have my contacts with them. I'm a distinguished
Oh
alumni
my
of
God, yeah.
the IIT Madras, and I
That's
still
right.
have some touch with them in terms of being one of the trustees in the Madras Research Park, which deals with startups. Post
Mm-hmm.
retirement, I've worked with a number of NGOs, but worked with certain industries also on the board of directors. But
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple of years, after I've crossed 75, then I've sort of wound down most of my extracurricular activities, except I'm also chairman of the Center for Northeast Studies, Sanjay Hazarika's outfit, which
Oh,
runs
so,
these
I see. I
health
see.
clinic boats on the Brahmaputra. I also chair a venture capital fund out of Mumbai for the last 14 years. This venture capital fund is set up by the alumni of all the five IITs: Delhi, Calcutta,
Oh, that's wonderful.
Bombay.
Yeah.
It's Ivy Caps Ventures Advisory Limited. Uh, we support, we fund startups. We are agnostic any sector
So,
where we
so
find
we
that.
can hope to tap some of the venture funds for this thing, IDPs, agri kind of setups.
You
I
can always
mean,
apply
we
if
have the
it's a good,
land, but then we don't have the expertise and the money. So maybe.
yeah, if it's a
So,
good, if it's
sir, I mean,
interesting, people.
my yeah, yeah.
So that's it. And in between, of course, I did. That's where I got my uh, initiation in one sense. Even though I'd come in 1965, I traveled all over the Northeast because my brother-in-law was working as a garrison engineer with the military engineering
Mm-hmm.
service. So 65 was a very different period. I remember driving down from Shillong all the way to
Right.
Guwahati, all the way to right up to
How
Digboy
big
and beyond.
was Shillong when you had gone there? How big was Shillong? I think it must be still small.
Yeah, it was still
Guwahati and all
small.
must be not so big.
Yeah, it's not
I mean, by the
hardly
time
hardly
I
any.
was there in '96, it was still small. Even Guwahati, no? Like not like it is today.
Yeah,
I
65. It
mean,
was
you had a
very hardly any traffic,
yeah.
and of course we had a long journey from Kerala to.
It's still the Scotland of the East kind of a thing, no?
Yes,
Shillong that
it's a
time. My
very
uncles and
beautiful
all they
place.
study there.
I'd gone to
Yeah.
Jorat and Chabua and so on. So Kaziranga and so on. I visited first in 65. And then when I
Hmm.
became Joint Secretary Northeast, that was when I got my first formal official. And that time, the JS Northeast was for those who don't really realize it, because in 96 to 2001, there was no donor. So the
Don't need. Okay, okay,
entire
okay.
donor function was being done by me. The Joint Secretary Northeast was doing all the donor work. So
I see.
um, now that same work, one Joint
That's why you
Secretary.
know the Northeast so well, right? I mean, the sense ki your understanding of the Northeast is deeper than
Yeah,
even guys
I've
from the
traveled a
Northeast,
lot,
huh?
gone to most of the
Yeah.
remote areas. Every district almost I've been there, and talked extensively. Had spent a lot of time, more than almost 200 visits to the Northeast. So it's quite. It's been very. I've loved my posting and my interaction with.
But sir, I mean, one question. I mean, like, just to ask you, I think there are some similarities between Kerala and the Northeast, right? In terms of the hills and the kind of landscape, or is it different?
Yeah, it
I
is
want to come
very
to the
similar.
in that
Assam,
way, right?
it's very similar.
Yeah.
Green, it's quite green, and it's both hills, rivers, and it's very nice. And I think people also from Kerala have been working in the northeast quite extensively, both in Nagaland, Manipur, especially. I've been to some school in
Teachers, yeah. Basically,
near.
teachers come from
They are the
Kerala. They're
teachers,
quite
and
highly rated, no?
even the priests have been from
Beautiful.
Kerala, so they're quite aware of Malayalis.
You know the joke. I mean, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and then he turned around. He thought he was the first man, Then he turned around, he saw a Kerala bakery, and then a
Very-
Sardarji came and asked him, "What do you want to buy?" So that was the joke we used to say in college, school days, no? And then, yeah, Kerala is one place, I mean, people, the phrase they talk about God's own country. I don't know whoever coined the word. It's so it's so catchy. It's so wonderfully captivating, right? God's own country,
Yeah,
and
but
the way
partly
it's
the history,
marketed.
because it's actually a God
Yeah.
who put his axe and carved that. So it is, God created that. But
It
I
has
agree
got
with
to
you.
do with that. Okay, I see, I
It's
see.
God's own.
But whoever coined it, it's just too good for tourism, right? You have the feel for, I just want to come there and then Ayurveda and all
And
that.
it's also unique because the church in
Yeah.
Kerala almost simultaneously within 50 years of Jesus Christ's crucifixion.
Hmm.
St. Thomas is supposed to have come to
St.
Kerala
Thomas.
and set up. So the church is still more than 2,000 years old. Different sects of the church, and same way with Islam. Islam also came to Kerala almost,
Yeah.
you know,
Pretty almost
just
as
about
soon as by the
as soon
time
as
they
Muhammad.
start spreading out, right?
Yeah, so 700 AD, because there used to be trade
Hmm.
between Kerala and the Middle East. There used to be boats, very, very
Cochin was the main spot,
Cochin,
right?
the
Cochin
Muziris.
driven.
Muziris was the port at that time,
Yes.
and it's so you have
Hmm.
those interchange of ideas and customs, and so it's a very tolerant society in Kerala, because even though conversion has taken place, but uh, everybody lives together. You'll have an Ahmad Pillai, you'll have a Sunil Chako or a Sunil
Okay.
Jacob, and so on as
Okay.
names. They keep half half.
So,
You can call
so,
it
sir,
half in.
just to ask you about a Pillai kind of a legacy. I think the first secretary who was with Nehruji. At the time of Sardar Patelji, the person who brought about the consolidation of the whole country was also a Pillai, if I'm not wrong,
Yes,
or
he
is
was
it a
from.
different name? Yeah.
Yeah, he was also from Kerala. At
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was very much instrumental. He was
Yeah.
first the advisor to Viceroy, and then became secretary to Vallabhai Patel. The integration of the states, he had a great role to play in that one.
We owe that to the Pillays then. It's a very there is some not because you're sitting with me, but I have some Pillay friends from my IFCI days. There's something that they stand by, that principle ek to hai. I don't know why. Not maybe just the few people I know. There's something that the name commands. I don't know. I'm not because I'm saying not because you're sitting with me, but Pillay sunne se ki ha, this guy is a Pillay kind of a thing. No? So what among the caste? What is it, sir? Is it a Brahmin caste or what is it? Pillay?
We are
I think it
Pillays
is, right?
are like Kshatriya. They were the warrior
Oh, sir.
community.
A warrior
They
caste.
were
Acha, acha.
the the Brahmins
So
were the
perhaps the
Nambudiris.
only place in India which has people who accepted Christ as Brahmins are, I think, in Kerala, right? Saint
Yeah,
Thomas.
quite a lot of
I think
Brahmins
so, right?
converted to Christianity.
Yeah, that's the only
They're the,
place, I
they're,
guess.
they are the Syrian Christians.
Maybe not the only place, but then perhaps. And then if you some of my teachers were Keralites, and I also have a few teachers who are now. I'm doing law, and then they are Keralites. It's like I made a comment. There's so many Keralites who are like outside, right? Diaspora. It's quite huge. I said, "आप
Yeah,
लोग
very,
सब
very
बाहर
big.
में तो केरला में कौन रह रहा है?" And like that's a joke in my college, right? They say, "हाँ, बहुत लोग हैं." Now a lot of other peoples are in Kerala. Even you
But
people are
but
there.
we have a
So
lot of people, because so much
yeah,
migration has taken place, and
yeah.
wage rates are very high compared to many neighboring
Mhm.
states. So initially, a lot of migrant labor came in from Tamil Nadu. Now we have something like almost 38 to 40 lakh people from all over India. Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, even from Assam, Nagaland. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
even
surprised. Manipur
some
also
of
I
my
know.
relatives are there. I mean, like, yeah, they're
Yeah,
working, but
so
yeah, I mean,
they are they find it quite comfortable. There is not.
it's a welcoming place, I guess, in the sense
Yeah,
that
it's a
there are
very
a lot of
welcoming.
people.
It's a welcoming place, and in fact, a very unique thing happened about a couple of years ago. One of the persons from who came as a migrant labor, they learned the local language, and he passed the examination, and he got the
Oh,
first rank in Kerala in Malayalam,
oh,
and
Malayalam. Okay.
nobody in Kerala, took it as
Nobody care.
okay,
Nobody. People will appreciate that, right?
yeah, you've
Like
deprived a Malayali of the
Sanlena, T
first rank
Sanlena.
and so on. In fact, the chief
Yeah.
minister had attended the function to present him the award for the first prize. So they were very happy that somebody from outside has come and learned the language and come first in the class
Yeah,
in there.
I mean, sir, I mean that was sometime. I don't know the country that we now live in. I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic, but then even the country that I grew up in, it's very different from what I see today. Like it might sound like you're bashing somebody. It's not, but then I don't know. Sometimes it gives you the chills. I mean, like there's one Mr. Trump there in the U.S. The whole thing that we know post the Second World War, it's like kind of changing, and then after 2014 it seems like India was never there before that, right? So these are the
Yeah,
things, and the textbook has changed so much. And if you speak the truth, it seems like you are anti-establishment, or you have an agenda. It's not. I mean, like we want the India that I grew up in. I mean, sir, when you grew up, India was like we used to stand up, right? I mean, if you talk about Bhagat Singh, I mean, there was a lump in your heart. Gandhi ji ki baat kar rahe to you just look at him at awe. This generation of people, like they talk about Gandhi as if he's some local some freedom fighter with some the British description of him as a naked fakir. No? They openly make jokes. I mean, like, I don't know, but then yeah, I don't know how you feel
yeah,
about this generation,
yeah.
but
That's a
then
particular ideology which has come now into fashion now.
yeah,
But I don't think so. I think my own feeling is that while definitely there has been, shall I say, a little bit of the change has taken place, and
mm,
part of that change is almost is going to be permanent. But I think we still
the core
have,
is intact. The
yeah,
core is
it's
intact.
we still. I think there are very large number of people who still believe that in the secular in the fabric of because Hinduism itself is such a vast uh, you know
True.
um, the different areas have different
Was
gods.
accepting religion, right? I mean, it itself is a way
Yeah,
of life. That's
yes.
why even I have a lot of. I mean, I love the Greek mythology more than that. I like the Hindu mythologies, right? And that even Mahabharata, Ramayana, I can as well tell stories like any other Hindu. But the conception of Hindu as we know today is so small that it doesn't even fit into the description in the Hindu Marriage Act or whatever the definition. It's there, right? It's bigger.
Yeah, it's different.
But
I think
then
we
that
have
is
to.
another issue for another day. But then I think people will withstand all this. Sir, my particular interest talking to you today is one is about your career, and like what is the day in the life of GK Pileji when he was the home minister, the home sorry, the home secretary. I mean, the secretary is like the minister himself. Yeah, I mean, he puts all the files. The minister signs it, but then yeah, how is it? How was her life then? Like with all the insurgency, I think that time it was at its peak in both the Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir when you were the home secretary. How
Yeah,
was your
life of
day
home.
in the
Oh, days is very long. I think it's about 18 hour days, and
Mhm.
I can tell you that I was only there for 2 years. It's a 2 year tenure term. You get it for 2 years. It's a fixed tenure, and You sleep 3 to 4 hours, not more than 3 to 4 hours a day. You
Okay.
spend 3 hours of file work at the home,
So,
and
so what was the most pressing issue that time? I mean, when you were the Home Secretary, I mean, was Kashmir?
we
Which
had
year was it,
see.
sir?
I was
If I
2009,
still remember,
2011. So
2011.
that time
Kashmir was still burning, I guess.
we had Kashmir as one. It was there was a big eruption in 2009, 2010. You remember that all the stone pelting
Okay,
which
okay.
came up, and there was a lot of firing, and almost over 100 students got killed and so on. Uh,
Hmm.
that was one aspect. And then, of course, in the left wing extremism, we had a lot of challenges. But we took all these steps. I think we took the right steps. And after 2010, uh, in left wing extremism, it's been a steady decline right from 2010 to 2026. And where today the Home Minister can say that, okay, by the end of 2026, left wing extremism will be almost over. But when I was Joint Secretary Northeast, we had a lot of equally, shall I say, developments at that time. One was when the 97, we had that ceasefire agreement with the
Okay.
NSE and IM,
Hmm.
was also there when I was the Joint Secretary Northeast. So I was involved in all those negotiations at that time. And
I see.
the Bodo Liberation Tigers was also, we brought them for discussions, and we solved that issue with the setting up of the Bodoland Territorial Council, which has become slightly one more group came, they slightly changed the name. But
It has
basically,
solved it. Huh? I mean, sir, I think you solved the Boro problem quite well. I mean, now Boro insurgency is
yeah, it
kind
is
of
more,
over, and they
it
have
is
kind of,
settled. Yeah, it is
like
settled.
it's kind of
Even
settled, right? I mean,
even the Naga issue is almost at 95% settled. We just had a little bit of a
yeah.
problem, and we couldn't reach that last bit. Otherwise, most of the issues had been settled with the Naga group, NSCNM.
We would probably need another maybe 2 hours of podcast to talk of the Nagas, since my wife is a Naga, and then I also was in Nagaland for quite some time. I mean, I'm from the Northeast, but I'm a cookie myself, right? So, like when I used to work with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then when they asked me to go to Nagaland, it seems like the IM was waiting for me. I mean, that is the level of our misunderstanding of our own place. And they were going to wait cookie, and then they were going to text me and all that stuff. The moment I landed there, they're the most hospitable people in the whole world, the Nagas.
I know, I know.
Especially the Nagas of this thing, and even the Ukrul and all those places. People interact with misconceptions, right? I mean, after the Cookie Naga, problem got over. I mean, I went for my uh, friend who was supposed to marry my sister-in-law, the elder sister. So they have this gathering. These Nagas also have a gathering. So they were fireplace, and then we were sitting, and they look at me and say, and then the typical, housewife, mother's speech. Tomorrow, I mean, are there cookies like you? I mean, like I don't know. Somehow they have this conception that cookies will have a hard jaw, and then they're
Right.
up for a fight. I mean, the misconception, right? So yeah, I mean, we have to kind of thank God. Time is also a healing factor. But then we'll hit the iron while it's hot. But in the case of Manipur, right? I mean, we also have a lot of friends, but then the narrative have gone so bad. I mean, like the trust deficit is so this thing now. Even a person like me, it feels like we call it pale thang in cookie, right? It's like a trap. So
Yeah.
it's like there's a small point, and then when an animal comes, boom. So
So,
that's the feeling among the cookies, right? So if you talk your real sense, people think you are like instigating or something. It's not. So I don't know. Some of the cookie leaders seems to call it a demand, but then it's not even a demand. People are asking for survival now. I mean, like they don't feel safe at all. There are
Yeah, that's
some, yeah,
I
bureaucrats who
think.
say, "Okay, you should come back and all that." But so, sir, you had call a meeting of some of the NGOs and some well-meaning people to Shillong discuss. I think
Yeah,
that is the
I think
right way forward. I mean, like, forcing the government on
2023
us is not right.
what happened in 22-23 was most unfortunate, and I think the government should have acted very firmly to control the situation when it happened. I mean, you have riots, which has happened anywhere, but this riot was not just a riot. It was really basically an ethnic cleansing which took place, and it should not have been allowed to happen. It created a lot of, shall I say, distrust, fear. A lot of people suffered, both sides, and I think it really came about to an extent. My Methi friends will not agree fully, but it came about because of a certain element of, what should I say, motivated campaign, where the cookies or people were, sort of uh, given a particular image of, being infiltrators, being drug smugglers, being not part of Manipur, and so on. And if you continue that with a state sponsorship, then you have a little bit of a problem in trying to bring things back to normal, because we've seen that happening when you demonize one section of the population. It becomes difficult. And then, of course, let me say that there have been retaliatory attacks also on either side, but it's a failure of the government, both state government and the central government,
Mhm.
because they belong both at the same party. They've been in president rule for over a year, and they've not been able to solve it. Um,
Yeah.
Now they
So,
have again
so in
come back to.
some in some way, like, what was the kind of mood? I mean, like, see, I have a lot of Meitei friends. I grew up in Nepal, and then the people I am quite most comfortable with is even more than cookies are Meiteis. But then I also know that there is some element of not trustworthiness that I know we know how to deal with them because brought up from there, right? But then, as general, they're not bad people. But the way I see the problem is this time, I think it is both, two people thinking different things and then acting together. But then, what they try to achieve, they didn't both get it. Like, for instance, the most visible, I mean, these are my theories. The most visible aspect of administration is the police. Manipur can be described as the police state, right? I mean, IAS officers, they don't have much say in. I mean, you have the uniform and then you come out in a trouble state like Manipur. That is the visible aspect of administration, right? So from the DGP to the next round of IPAs, who could be DGPs are cookies. And let's be honest, the cookie bureaucrats are also totally disconnected with their cadre and the constabulary, and then even with their own people. They have to admit that. I mean, you are from the top boss to the last, you are all cookie officers, and you don't know people are planning to do something like that. I mean, and then I think with the small state syndrome, the chief minister has seen through the kind of people that he is sitting in the cabinet with, people without spine and people who can he can do anything with. So I think he lost his way as a person. I don't think because he also has a flip flop, right? Tamo Birens has a flip flop narrative. One day he'll come say, "I had to start the war," and then if I don't, next day he'll come and say, "I have to fight Poppy." Then if I don't do this, there is no future for the Meiteis. Then next he'll come say, "There are no illegal immigrants. Cookies are our brothers." So it was like a seesaw, right? The whole entire 2003. And then I think some of the mistake where the youths also became kind of assertive from our side, and then Meiteis, as long as we were subservient, it was okay. And in Infal, we guys know how to be, where to when to fight, when not to fight. But then Lamka, with education and all, we have become resurgent, and then Infal, a lot of our young people have got a lot of jobs in the central government, and then because of the corruption, the Meitei hoi polloi is like kind of going through corruption, going through a lot of poverty. So somehow the narrative was being sold that we are a threat. And then if they look at the administration, the police, the secretary, they think we were capturing everything. And that's so the narrative was being sold, and then things started to kind of erupt. And then they also, before they realized, misinformation was a big factor. So I don't know. I mean, not one. Some people were really, up to reaching out and then trying to condemn what was wrong. But then after the political demand started to set in, a lot of things become, bipolar. So how do you read it? I mean, like, because we can't meet the Meiteis. I mean, like, I haven't met a Meitei friend in almost 3 years. I met. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know how they're doing, but then uh, the turn in the ST narrative also was not even 5 years, 3 to 4 years. It started turning. They were convinced that it was something they need. I mean, they're hardworking people, and then not every one of them can be in the bureaucracy, right? But then they started to हिंदी में हक जताता है types ना हक हक की जैसा दिखने लग गया. I mean, like, so I don't know. I mean, like, you met them, they came together. I think some of them were quite sensible, the people who came, and the one person who really stood up is Bablu Loitongbo, right? I mean, he had to leave Infal. So what were the kind of mood, and then were there any kind of solutions that you guys could discuss? I mean, like, because this popular government is
I
not
think,
going to be the way.
I think we have two aspects. One, what has happened has happened. I mean, that's you can't put the clock back. The first element of what I would call as the healing process has to be, in one sense, rehabilitation and compensation for those who have lost property and this thing, etc., so that they are at least able to get on with their lives. Because at the moment I don't see any chance yet, because of the healing process not having started, of people being able to go back, either cookies going back to Imphal, those who were displaced from there going back to their houses and starting to rebuild the house there, or Metis coming to Churachandpur or other places where they come back and rebuild their own huts or houses and so on and so forth. We haven't come to that stage yet. But if we are looking at the state of Manipur, etc., at some point of time in the future, that process has to be there also, partly. So, if this first part of the healing process, which unfortunately has not happened, partly, even though you've got a Supreme Court assisted, there are three judges who are monitoring this, hardly done anything. Impact has been zero on the ground, both sides. We've had this one-man inquiry commission, which is supposed to look into this, how this whole riots took place, etc., and suggest measures. That committee has not given its report. It's keeping on getting extended. They have not been able to move forward. So it shows that at this moment, the political will to get the political settlement through is still not there. So what we have to look at now is get those who are displaced in this, that part of the compensation, and get that the first part of it. Then I think you have to open a dialogue, and I think it's very important to you cannot move forward unless there is dialogue, and dialogue has to be, and we have seen that when we had this informal dialogue with both Maithi friends and Cookizo friends. While initially there was resentment and anger and so on, when they started to talk about what happened to each other and what really are the issues, I think there was a greater understanding of, in one sense, how they have been used in this whole ethnic conflict. So I think that is one part. You have to have a dialogue, and your dialogue can't be general. Today even the cookies, though people are only saying we want separate administration. Separate administration is one part of it, one part of what your demand is. But you still need to dialogue on many other issues. And I mean, just giving you an example, you have to have a dialogue on uh, the history of cookies in Manipur,
Okay.
on which there was questions. So, and come to understanding based on facts. There are independent historians, there are independent people, etc., who can come and say this is actually the actual ground situation, this, and therefore let us agree on this. Like that issue of refugees. How many refugees are really there who have come in the recent past who have, because of the conflict in Myanmar? Uh, how many have come? Some have come, gone back, some have come again when further conflict takes place. Then you're talking about illegal infiltration. And people are worried about what is the population. And since the 2021 census was not done, we have only the 2011 census. And if you look at the 2011 census, and you can't see any, major growth in population which should alarm either the Meiteis or the Cookies.
Yeah.
So now 26, 27, in the next 1 year, the next census will take place. And once the census takes place, and then actual numbers of Cookies, Meiteis, etc., then you have a place for dialogue. Can find out there's no great infiltration, there's no great illegal migration. It's a normal, uh, demographic increase in population.
Growth.
Then again, you can, temperatures come down. Then you have a chance to, okay, let's put that part of it aside. So then you can start discussing other issues. So if you don't have actual data on which you're on the forest rights, who has the rights, the state government, their rights, cookie chiefs' rights.
You remember, sir, we talked, and then I told you I would love to come, but then since I was involved with the cookie in P, I don't. I will think about it. So I talked to Manchin, and I told her, okay, I'll think about it. But after being betrayed so badly with this so unpopular government, which is like lack of imagination by the central government to solve the problem. I mean, like they have almost 3 years, and then finally I mean, they put the cookie sword, or maybe give them apples and oranges or stone. So they have to choose either apple or oranges, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like, but then it doesn't absolve them from the responsibility of
yeah, I
standing by
agree.
what
That's
they
why I
declared,
said
right?
keep aside that, even for people in, say, in Churachandpur and so on, where some disturbances are broken out, there's a little bit of violence, people are burning things, etc. I think people there also you can protest, definitely protest peacefully, because you don't should not destroy any asset or property, which public property, because you think that is the government's property, actually our own
I think they're
property.
burning their own. I don't know what they are burning, but then yeah, roadside something they're burning. I hope it doesn't cross to the level of burning DC office and all again.
Yeah, because it's
I think that
it
is a good
doesn't.
message. I mean,
So
like constitutional
peace,
means, right?
peaceful protest, yes, everybody can come out. You can block the traffic. You can show your presence. You can hand over memorandum, etc., to show that this is a matter of concern for you, etc. I think keep the protest peaceful. You got now a new government which has come into force. Let's see what the steps that they take, because there is no doubt that the steps have to be taken by the government. The initiatives have to come from the government. You have in one sense said what you want to say. Now you've seen just recently, I think last week, Eastern Nagaland Territorial Authority for
FNTA,
the
na?
for the
Yeah,
four
Frontier
Eastern
Naga Territorial something agency or
Territorial
something.
yeah, authority.
FNTA, I think.
So it looks as though there's I mean, from
They
what
wanted a different state, right?
we are
Before
looking
they
at,
wanted the eastern.
they have a mini secretariat like you have in Bodoland. If you go to Bodoland, you'll see a Bodoland secretariat where the CEO of the Bodoland Territorial Council is the executive head. Here you are saying you'll have an additional chief secretary who will be there with the secretariat, etc. And about some 46 subjects, the entire devolution has been transferred to this authority. I have not seen the details, but it'll possibly wait for a few days' time before the notifications, etc., come. So we have different options which are uh, under consideration: sixth schedule, territorial authority, something else. So keep that process open for dialogue, etc. Because you have concerns about Metis sensitivities. They have concerns about you because
Yeah,
for the Metis,
the
not
sound
just
went off. Yeah.
it's not just the cookies. They are not worried so much about the cookies. They are also equally worried about the Naga settlement. They are worried about the Naga settlement. Is that going to affect the territorial integrity of Manipur? So they have fears on that account also. So the Metis psychology is not just cookies, just the one which they are now focusing on that. But earlier, if you've seen the Mathis and the Nagas they were the most worried about the Nagas.
In
You've seen
Nagas.
they burned down the I think the secretariat or something in 2001 when they said the ceasefire is extended all over Manipur and so on. So they have their own sensitivities, their own fears. So we have to take into account those fears also, and say that we respect that, we understand that, but what we are asking for is this, maybe without affecting the territorial integrity of Manipur, and see how you can get into a process of dialogue.
But now that the popular government people, Kukizo people. So do you think it can solve the problem? Like I have a different take, but I just want to hear from you before that. Like would should we give them a chance? But then the thing is, with the things that are happening on the ground, I think from union territory with legislature, it might even upgrade to state now. I mean, like because the distrust level, right? I mean, is so high. Maybe they'll be ready to wait for 30 years, maybe.
Yeah,
But then I don't know. So
no, I'm
that's
not saying
the reading on
anything.
the ground.
Anything.
But do you
See,
think
the Nagas have waited after 1997 is the ceasefire.
30
It's
years?
almost
Yeah,
30 years. They are still having dialogue. So, uh, 20, 30 years in the life of a
person.
civilization or a population is not a big time. They're willing to wait. So I think we should also be willing to wait but keep the dialogue process going.
No, the thing is, sir. I mean, there are good and bad people. I mean, the whole world can be divided into good and bad people. I mean, community is another thing altogether. The thing is, the mind has to be free. But then, in any ethnic conflict, the free will, right? Uh, the when the trouble started, no news came out from Infal. So, being from Infal, I know all the journalists and people who are kind of good friends. So I called them up. I said, "What's going on? I mean, like, chal kya raha hai?" I mean, like, when '93, I was still, a young boy in school. I couldn't do anything. This time, we should not let it go out of hand. Do something. Give me the number of this UCM, this, that, and then Kokomi. I think they were irresponsible. But then the problem is the grooming of young people who were fed with all the scaremongering about how they're threatened before really knowing it. And then it's my theory. I think the Maharaja Lysemba, he had also had a tough time. Then he got elected into the Rajya Sabha, and then he reviving one's past is always associated with I would say, to me, it's a little bit of that. I've been romanticizing the past, right? So the youngsters were brought into Arambai Tengol basically is romanticizing a defeat. If you ask me, it won't be nice to tell that to them, but then so once they tell that and then say we have to fight back. So I myself, my great grandfather was close friend with King Chandrakirtis, right? So they call all of us illegal immigrants. Some of our I'm a Chongloi. Some of the Chongloi villages are like 1400 to 1500, and there are Chonglois among the Koirings, right? They are more. They are even probably earlier than the Meiteis, because the Moirangs were also subsumed by the Meitei, right? The Medingu. So history has been kind of dissected and used the way they want it. So on Twitter, they'll just write to me, "You go to Myanmar." I say, "Where will I go to Myanmar? Yeah, I don't know any place in Myanmar." So people who have you have grown up with, and people I speak better Manipuri than some of the people in the fringes, right? Even Infal society has this very funny concept of lavai macha and all that. A bit high polish, posh, and then somebody from the outskirt. All that funny kind of what do I say, stereotypes. But then this war, I think the frenzy was with us so much that people were ready to die. I mean, there were one Navy merchant officer who came home, he went and died in the hills, right? So the narrative when it started out, I started out without knowing, like trying to reach out, and then by the time the MLS declared the separate administration, I was so pissed that day because I knew that the Meiteis will come together and then they will make it into a political thing, and now the people who were suffering will be left out of the picture entirely, and that's what now when we are say when they are joining the popular government, to most cookies and to us, it's like it's a betrayer. So it's quite like the narrative that was being said from the beginning was like, when Tonsing was killed. See, he's a half a Meitei, right? Mother is a Meitei, auntie was a Meitei, father is Hang Sing. And then they burned him alive. And then the news came out that a mob of cookies, 2,000 cookies, waylaid Meitei child, and they burned him alive. And his father, we made him explain, face the camera. I mean, you have a lot of cookie friends and then Meitei friends also. Cookies are the hard ones, right? We won't cry also, right? He was like talking, they kill my wife, they kill my. I told him, if you're emotional, you can cry. Cookies are ashamed of, shedding tears, and that is a weakness. So you please tell the story the way you want to tell it. He opened up, and then it was I. That was the first time I faced the camera, and then I explained what he means because he was speaking cookie, right? So my involvement started to take a U-turn after the news were so badly controlled by the chief information officer at the CM's office. So these are stories that we can learn as a country, right? I mean, like
Yeah, I agree
the
with you. I
CM's
think
office,
you have to
the
see.
highest office in a state, small. That is the thing. How can it go so wrong? I I
Yeah,
I don't know.
gone now,
Well,
but I think we have to. I don't think we will come to any solution. I mean, it's a long-term solution. It's nothing is going to come, in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It's going
yeah.
to be a long-term solution. It has to be so. All the issues that are of concern to both sides. Let me put it that way. I have to be put up front. We have to have some position papers on what is the extent of illegal immigration. What is the number of actual refugees inside Manipur? What is going to be their status? How long will they be here? How long when did they come, and when will they go back? When whatever the conflict in their Myanmar is over. So each one forest rights. What are the forest rights? What has happened? Is there been any action? Can we settle that and have a mutually acceptable solution? Now, each one of these issues, once you start discussing these issues, then you have the as I put it, this whole polarized environment, that temperature has to come down. Because if the temperature doesn't come down, you are not talking. You're not having dialogue. I'm talking, you are talking. So
Sorry.
we have to start listening to each other. What are their fears? Let's see. Is the fear real or is it just artificial? If it is artificial, I should take the initiative to convince you that your fear is, you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to,
You
yeah, you
so you
don't
want
have
to
to
take
think
rest
that,
for some time?
yeah.
You want to
So,
take rest for some 10 minutes? It's quite hectic for you. We'll
fine.
we'll just continue after 5 minutes. Just have water because we
Okay.
can continue again.
Okay.
Because now you need
Okay.
water, and also you'll have water.
Okay.
Go. I'll edit it. It's not a problem. I need this thing, yeah. Water.
We possibly finish another half an hour. I think
Uh,
you're mute
Piliji,
now.
which area you want to focus? I mean, like I want you to. Would you be comfortable telling, advising both the communities? I mean, like, and I want to ask you on why Manipur integrity is so important to the Meiteis, right? Now the cookies are hell bent on breaking now. So I want them to realize I don't want to be fooled by the politicians and all these underground people. I mean, had enough. Ask you that question. I'll edit out this part, and yeah, I'll that. It's wonderful to have a very calm and friendly. I would say picking your brain, wonderful brain for deep. I would call it an AI brain into the Northeast. I mean, like you have worked in Manipur as well, right, sir? Or was it a part of the Northeast thing, or were you
No,
in
it's part
Manipur
of.
for
I have not
part
worked
of the
in Manipur.
Northeast?
Part of the
As
Northeast.
a Home Secretary, you were like because Manipur is a hotbed of insurgency, right? So the Meitei underground are perhaps the only undergrounds who have not surrendered, right?
I think one
Only the
group has
Panghiba
surrendered, but
group has
two
one
other
group has
groups will.
surrendered because of the violence. Otherwise, they were like they call themselves Westia, right? I mean West Asian ka west part of the Southeast Asia and all that. So
See the.
uh, w- I mean I find more in terms of conflicted loyalties, right? I could be working as a top brass in the Ministry of Home and fully loyal to the Indian government. I'll be singing Jana Gana Mana and then Vande Matram, and I really made it as well. Same thing with the Meiteis, right? Cookies we don't have problem because from the time of the British. Before the British, we fought with Netaji, we lost. So for us, that divided loyalty is not there. But then for our Meitei brothers, the problem is, I mean, they could be working in India. Some of them are very patriotic. I mean, they are hardcore. India. They have won gallantry medals for the army, for the UN missions, and then there are sports people who would swear by our country. But then when it comes to Manipur, no one can speak against the Korkom or whatever. So if there's a ban, everybody has to shut doors. So I find that we have to take a decision. If you are an Indian, you have chosen to be an Indian, go for it. If you want to be a citizenist, go in the government for this thing also. So this conflict is also more to do that. I mean, in Burma, they're fighting. Let's be honest. The KNAB, I don't know if they should fight them, but then PDF and KNAB is fighting the Meiteis, and then sometimes they are in the same camp, so they have to go and shoot the IM also. So that repercussion is also here. And then for the Meitei undergrounds to survive, now that Infal is not accessible after so many years, the poppy seed to all this technology got transferred to the hills, because when I was a child, there was only ganja in the hills, right? They grow it near the river banks, and then poppy was never heard of. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, who started it, God knows. But then the buyers and the labs are in Thobal district, right? So, I mean, with the conflict, I don't think the popular government in 11, not even 11 months, 9 months, I don't think they'll solve it. And it has hardened the cookie position. And the Meiteis also, the politicians are a bunch of people who would just waste time trying to kind of recruit some people and take money. The rate in Manipur is like 30 lakhs for constable, right? So the constabulary is also compromised because they had to pay. I mean, like, you don't get recruited because you have that thing for the being in the force. So that's why the police was one failure. The state has failed for a long, long time. So anyone who wants to join politics in Manipur or get into the civil services basically are motivated by something other than the rail service or whatever that they should be motivated by. So especially with the Meiteis, why do you think the concept of territorial integrity is so dear to them? Plus, and why? How should they approach it? Because I find them conflicted as friends. Friends that we had before we were. I want them to kind of resolve that. That's something I speak openly now. I mean, like, I'm close to 50 now. I think we should tell each other openly our vulnerable situations and stuff like that. So I want to want to kind of understand from you, sir. I mean, what would be your advice to both the Cookijos, and to the Meiteis? I mean, how do we solve this problem? Right?
No, solution.
Tough call, but
The solution to be solved has to be solved by all of you. It cannot be solved by me or anybody else sitting in Delhi. It will have to be solved by the Meiteis, by the Cookies, by the Nagas, all sitting together. It cannot be solved otherwise. Government of India can facilitate the dialogue. India can obstruct the dialogue if they want to, but finally the solution will have to come from the people. And therefore, it is very important, if you want a solution which is within agreeable by all the people, then you have to sit down and dialogue. There's a history behind why the Meiteis are very strong on this territorial integrity, which has been. It started with the time when the Maharaja accession. They questioned that accession of Manipur to India, saying that we had a constitution, we had a legislative assembly, even before India had a constitution, and so on and so forth. So the Maharaja had no authority to accede. It had to be done by the assembly. So there is a fundamental legal issue on which a group of Meiteis are very firm, very strong, saying that the first act itself of accession is ipso facto illegal. And therefore, you need, for people, the government of India has to have a dialogue with the Manipur people to settle that. You can still settle it within the Indian Constitution, within this thing, but you have to settle it within by dialogue. You can't settle it unilaterally. You
But the
remember,
thing
you
is,
are
that is
cash.
not what the cookies can talk to them about, no, sir. I mean, it's something they have to talk to government of India, right? I mean,
No, you are
because we have
talking to
always
government of
supported
India
the
because
Manipur
government of India
territory.
is only government of India can give you that extra this thing, and they will not give you because unless the Metis also, shall I say, are convinced that it is. Just look, give me just an example of look at East ENPO. When the
Okay,
ENPO first
Nagaland Eastern, yeah,
in the Eastern Naga district said
Nagaland.
we are highly discriminated against because I'm talking about 96 2001. Literacy in Kohima, Dimapur, all those areas where the Aos, Angami, Semas, and all were there was 85 to 95% literacy.
90%, yeah.
Mon literacy was 15%. That's the difference. So when people from when there was a selection of teachers, say Nagaland Public Service Commission selected teachers,
Yeah.
they found that all the teachers would be from Ao, Angami, Semas, etc. And then you post Ao, Angami, Semas to Mon district, which is far away. Nobody wants to work there because it's too far away. It's, your tribe, clan, etc. is so important for all of you in the Northeast, So
Yeah.
for them, they will get the post transferred back to Kohima. So the
Yeah. I
teachers,
mean, most of the teachers are posted in Mon, but then they'll be working from Kohima, right?
they'll be working from
Something
Kohima.
like that. Same thing with
So,
Manipur, right? I mean,
so this sort of thing is happening. So, but over a period of time, in fact, I can tell you that when I first wanted to hold a development seminar in Mon in 99, I think, Chief Minister said no. Why is Home Ministry concerned about development of development is my subject. Home
okay.
Ministry is
I
only
won't ask who
concerned
the
with.
CM was that time. I won't ask her.
I would, what happened? The MLAs from Mon came to see me because they said, "Sir, you had agreed to hold a development seminar." I held one in Tamenglong and earlier in other places in Manipur also. So I said, the Chief Minister is not allowing me. And you know what they said? Is that so? They went
Okay.
back to the Chief Minister and there are 20 MLAs, 25 MLAs. They said, if you don't allow the development seminar, we are withdrawing support to you. And then the Chief
That's
Minister
yes.
rang up. And then the Chief Minister rang up my boss and said, okay, allow Joint Secretary is allowed to hold the seminar on condition that I will come to inaugurate the seminar. I said, very fine, very good.
That's serious.
That if you come, it is very good that people will get a chance to tell you about the grievances and so on. And that is how the process in Mon itself, development process, this teacher issue which I told you, it was first raised in this development seminar by the people. Young boys said, no teachers in the schools. And I had a deputy secretary.
Being a teacher and not going to school is something, I mean, like, that is something forgivable. I mean, that is such a standard practice in the
Yeah.
state of
But
Manipur, right? I mean,
that correction took place as a result of that development seminar, which is saying, again, dialogue. You have the dialogue, then it's okay. So I'm only saying that I'm also getting my throat is.
you have some water. It's okay. I'll cut out this portion.
That's okay.
Mine is also shaking a bit. I don't know why. This yellow light, maybe.
Yeah, Delhi
I
is.
I, I actually chose the this thing. The
It's okay.
thing I chose was a bit less actually. It's
Okay, I
okay.
think we'll
So
probably close another 5 minutes. My voice is My
Yeah,
voice is
yeah.
going.
You need rest. We'll talk some other time.
Yeah, we can talk another time, I
And
think,
so much.
because
Yeah.
pollution. No,
The
I just said that there is a very high sensitivity
again
to
another time.
this,
Yeah.
and therefore we have to be, see, finally you are dealing with people. You have to they, while they must understand you must also try to understand them, why they are. Sit down and discuss with them, and then you will find why they are saying, why they have the fear, and so on and so forth. And then let's see whether we can find a solution. You can only find a solution by sitting down and talking. You cannot find a solution otherwise. And we don't want any more violence. I think it is, you can definitely peacefully protest, make your intentions very clear that A, B, C, D is not acceptable to you, which is your right as a citizen of India, and say that I'm prepared to sit down and have a dialogue with you.
Yeah. The popular government
See,
is
I'm
not
not
popular,
I'm
right?
not ruling
That,
anything
that
out.
is for sure.
I'm not
And then
ruling anything out. Any solution
no, no,
can be
it's not.
any
No,
type of
I
solution.
know you. I know you. That way, I know you. Now the thing is,
Solution can come maybe
the thing with the popular government is it has been done so poorly, so badly that the cookie side has have hardened their stand,
yeah.
and then the Meitei side are also looking. How do they allow us swearing in? I mean, she can't even go to Infal to swear in for the swearing in, taking the oath, right? And then they should have resigned long time back, but then they didn't resign. Now they were, if they are MLAs, I think they must be talking with the CM also. Now there's a tape. Biren CM's exposed tape is there in the Supreme Court. Had those also been expedited, things could have been clear. Now, without justice, people maybe they won't live together, but then at least they'll come through our infall. That it'll take trust, right? I mean, going and then living in the old colonies. You have the lands, so it's a city at the end of the day. It doesn't belong to only the Meiteis, right? The land that I bought, that's mine. I mean, like we build a city together.
Yeah, you have to have a dialogue.
Manipur
At the
was not.
moment, you can't.
Kangli Park perhaps belongs to the Meiteis, but then when it comes to the land that you bought and then the land that we bring into today, some of the Meiteis who are instigated. I mean, I'll try to be a sensible Meitei friend, like with you, we'll talk among three of ourselves. So let's try to understand
No,
their side of the story as well. But
no.
then the
When we
thing
had
is,
this in
why people are so adamant on being separated. Now the cookies are not very good in presenting their side of the story. I mean, the thing is, it seems like they don't want peace and they just want, but the insecurity is very deep because it was in the heart of the capital city. One, and then the police were involved in leading a mob, and then the churches were being attacked, and then their own leaders told them not to tell anyone that the churches were attacked. It was clear as a day. 300 churches being attacked. Now, when your own leaders also don't kind of come out in the open, it's clear. I mean, like the game is being played. Politicians from game. Now, people to people solution. Next election, they'll be thrown out. That is obvious. But then the question is, how do you throw out these people? Do you also use guns? Do you also use money to buy voters? Then it won't change, right? Among the Meiteis, obviously, I mean, this time, if there was an election, then the BJP won't come to power. So, the home minister, I mean, you have worked with various home ministers. I mean, we guys are Twitter warriors. So, I mean, we can write anything under the sun. I mean, like when he meets me in real person, maybe I'll be much more polished. But then on Twitter, we ask him questions like, "Sir, you are an
see
admirer
my
of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. अब कर क्या रहे हो? You could have solved at least by starting the peace committee, the design peace committee at the start of the outbreak of the violence.
see
Were you a
I'm
part of it,
I'm
sir?
not See, I'm not suggesting in any way that you compromise on any of the demands that you have raised. I'm only saying you can still keep that. Even when we had dialogue with Lal Denga and so on and so forth, he was still saying sovereignty. He wanted sovereignty. Only on the last day he said, "Okay, give me full statehood. I will accept." Muiva also said sovereignty. Then he's accepting the Constitution of India. He's still his passport is Indian passport. So you are slowly over a
You
period
still,
of time you have to
I don't, sir, what do you
you
look?
have
How
to
do you
sit down.
see the insistence on the flag and the constitution? I mean, as a person, like I kind of admire the fact that he kind of stand up for something he believes in, though it might sound a little bit. I mean, when you
See,
negotiate, you have to be flexible. But then I don't know. I
see,
mean, like,
see the flag issue is from my point of view is not a very important issue because you have a national flag, you have a state flag. There are some states which had flag. Even Kashmir had a state flag.
yeah,
Karnataka
Karnataka
has
has
got a
a
state
flag.
flag. So,
Yeah,
so long as the state flag is below the flies below the national flag, no, there is no problem. It is not a
yeah. But
big issue. Constitution earlier we had if you see before 2019 we had a constitution within the constitution. The Jammu and Kashmir had a constitution within the constitution, state constitution. 2019 when that state constitution was abolished in one sense, uh, we ourselves, we were negotiating what we call as
so close.
shared sovereignty, center and states. We are sharing sovereignty, list one, list two, and so on. So
That
police,
is the
the
concurrent
states are,
reason the state,
yeah.
right? I mean, that is also
Now
kind of a shared sovereignty
that
with the states
decision
is
in
more than that.
2019 to abolish the state of Jammu and Kashmir and make it two union territories, that shared concept of shared sovereignty was destroyed by the central government. So I was wanting, in fact, the Supreme Court. I'm one of those who filed a petition in the Supreme Court along with others, where we challenged this abolition of the state of Jammu and Kashmir and said it is illegal. The Supreme Court did not pass an order, said we are not going into this issue because the center has said we will restore statehood at the appropriate time. Now, what is the appropriate time? We don't know. So we are still challenging that in the Supreme Court, saying that you have to decide whether can the center abolish a state. It is a constitutional issue because
Yes,
that center
I
federal,
agree.
the federal system. So the Supreme Court has not yet taken a decision, and I think if Supreme Court doesn't take a decision, you don't have a solution in the Naga issue. Don't have a solution because you don't have shared sovereignty. You don't have a solution with the Naga. The Naga issue will remain like this. So I think it's very important for sometimes some of the constitutional issues which are, and this is still pending in the Supreme Court. And I was saying that like the state of Nagaland should actually go and all
Yes,
states should,
Supreme Court constitutional benches. I would,
yeah,
humbly with a lot of respect, put it in such a way that I mean, I also have kind of put my faith in, did my law from 2003, and without even appearing one exam, 2008 I went and took out my admission from the EU. So now I wanted to complete it, but then when I see delays in the Supreme Court, I don't feel like studying. But then these old people,
that you don't worry about that. Don't worry about. These are all ups
Mizo's
and
have
downs,
adopted to
downs
this.
of in.
So you just be there. I'll put the
Yeah,
final monologue, and then I'll cut it. Uh,
yeah,
thank you so much, sir.
yeah. Thank
It's
you.
been wonderful
Thank
talking to you. And then I'll probably pick another day, and then we'll touch base on some of the issues that is so specific to how to solve uh, the problem of Manipur in terms of what is acceptable to the cookie zones and what could be acceptable to the Metes. I mean, I'll probably, like with your experience and some of the research that we are doing, I'll present to you some case, and then I want you to assess
Okay.
that. So I'll probably bring in another guest,
Yeah,
a
sure.
friend of mine,
No
and
problem.
maybe
No
the other
problem.
side also if you can bring in. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being the first person to come and speak to me on the unlimited, uncomfortable, and then unfiltered
I feel my
truth
my
about
heart goes out
Manipur
to the
and
people
about
of
India.
Manipur.
So,
I want
what,
I
yeah,
want Manipur
any
to be
message
at
you want to
peace. I
give?
want everybody to be at peace. Yeah. Thank
And
you.
there are people from my community who say people like Pillai should speak up more. But then I don't want you to. No one should take sides, but based on what is wrong and right. Because when I speak of rape, gang rape, very clearly say that in case of Infal and the case of Churjanpur, there was no gang rape. But when I talk of gang rape, it might sound like I'm picking bones with the Meiteis. It's not. So we have to start talking, but then we have to start talking with truth and without compromise, but then respecting the other person. So
Yeah.
with this unpopular popular government that they have now, I don't think the solutions would come. But if this government can kind of take a back, civil society come together, but not Kokomi. Kokomi has declared war on the cookies also. The cookies will never. That is there.
Okay. Let us see what.
Thank you so much, sir,
Okay. Thank you.
and
Thank you.
giving me so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Come again, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And then I'll upload it. Actually, I wanted to launch it on 14, but just I'm collecting it slowly. So maybe I'll edit it and then probably we'll talk again. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably when I come to Delhi, I'll meet you, sir.